Hey everybody. Okay, we are live. Shout out to Barry Motivated who super chatted before the stream started saying that they're touring houses today, so they won't be able to make the stream. But hope that I enjoy the chapter and remind people to like the stream for her. So follow Barry's wishes. Like the stream. Yes.
Come with me if you want to live.
That's awesome, Barry. So best of luck with that. Okay, so today we're going to go back to, for today only, to a style that we did a few months ago, where the reaction is pre-recorded and the discussion will be live. Okay, so I'm going to play the pre-recorded reaction, and then I'll be right back. You know what time it is. It's about to be that time. Okay, we are pre-recording the reaction this week because the video that I have been teasing, you know, the Elbaf predictions video, if we are still in Legoland this week and following Nami and seeing some of the other Straw Hats go around Elbaf, it may affect the video. So I want to be able to plug in and insert anything based on 1127. So I want to basically speed run through the chapter reaction. I'm not going to read the dialogue this week, and then we'll have our discussion, and then I want to record and get into the Elbaf predictions video so I can get it out in a timely manner. Because, like I've said before, it's a really long video, and if there's anything that I need to plug in from this chapter, I want to be able to plug it in. You know, whether we start seeing trees, giant trees like Yggdrasil, if we start seeing some other like major Norse myths that are already written into the video in the like future tense, if I have to change the tense into present or past, like I want to do that before I get it out. Okay, so with that being said, here we go. Chapter 1127. Okay, so we've got Yamato and Inuarashi having a chat. Okay. And it seems like we're going to follow the missing girls. Okay, next page. Ooh, okay, so we are in a Lego town. And we've got some Vikings here, so yes, this is Elbaf. Like we discussed in the last video, Lego is a Danish company, and the Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, they were all part of the Viking tribes. They all believed in Norse mythology many years ago. Elbaf will likely be split into multiple sections, and what we're seeing here is the Legoland version. And it doesn't look like this is a devil fruit. I mean, it still could be, or it's just how things are built here. Okay, there's a giant tree, but is that the giant tree? Okay, so I have to change the tense on Yggdrasil. Okay. All right. Of course Oda was going to do it. Of course he was going to have Yggdrasil. Alright. Oh my god. Okay. They think that there is a sun god. Now this is gonna, like... in the video that hasn't come out yet, that I've already written for over a month, I talk about how they have to have a false prophet. I wish I got this video out earlier. Oh my god. Okay. The false prophet is likely Loki. Oh man. I should have just gotten the video out. Okay. There's so much reasoning for this. I said I wanted everything to be like quick, and of course I'm getting lost in the the weeds here in the trees. Okay. Let me see before I start going into everything. Because obviously we already saw this with the Mother Carmel flashback where she was like pretending to call upon the sun god. Loki is a trickster. He probably wasn't in the line of succession for, to be king, but probably became king because he tricked so many people into thinking that he's Nika because he can likely manifest things. Okay. Anyway. Next page. We got these two guys arguing about bees that have fallen out of the sky. Okay, we've got a gigantic castle here. Also appearing to be made out of Legos. Alright, so we found Nami. She's with Zeus and has attacked one of these creatures. And it looks like we're seeing the outside of everything. This is the castle. Alright. Next page. So this means that the "Hey Nami, wake up" from the last chapter was Zeus. Okay. I feel like that was so obvious I should have been able to call that out. I wanted it to be Zoro or Usopp. Okay. Oda, we might need to have a discussion about this. Like, this is treading SA territory here with Nami if she's forgetting how she ended up in these clothes. Careful there, buddy. Yeah, there's something in the distance. Maybe another bug. Okay. She's complaining about the Lego flooring. Okay, next page. We've got a new type of creature. Is this some sort of like hedgehog, porcupine thing? This Nami face is insane. Okay, it is a porcupine. Yeah. Okay, Nami's running from it. Next page. A giant cat. We've got what appears to be Usopp being eaten by the giant cat. Loving the adventure here. Okay. Nami sending Zeus out. And Zeus is attacking the porcupine. Next page. We've electrocuted the porcupine. Usopp is still in the mouth of the cat. The cat has let go of Usopp. Okay, resuming here. I had to go help Chrissy with something. Anyway, we're on page 8 here. So we've got Usopp is with this like crazy beard that I don't know. This it's all giving Kinnemon's fruit vibes. Okay, so they're talking about the absinthe. So they think that they're in some sort of hallucination. Next page. Okay, they're realizing that they're in a castle, and it is a long drop. They're still being chased by this cat. I'm now noticing that the cat has a crown on it, or something similar to that. Let's see. Usopp's feeling a little brave. All right, so he learned the hard way there. Next page. Oda's having fun. This is giving Thriller Bark. You know, like the early chapters of Thriller Bark. A little bit of the early chapters of Whole Cake. I was hoping there would be a little more like Amazon Lily in here, since so much was Sabari Archipelago and Egghead. But we did talk about, you know, potentially it being like early Thriller Bark, early Whole Cake. Okay, so the cat does have a crown. And now they're falling. Okay, how's the weakling trio going to get themselves out of this one? Okay. Yep, they're really falling. Deus Ex Machina, who's going to save them? Did they just hit the ground and they're okay? Everything's got a crown. We got this lion thing here. Wait. It changed into the lion. Okay. So is this Loki? And Loki has the ability to transform between animals. I gotta keep reading. Okay. Now he shields herself with Usopp. Oh my god. Okay. Hey. Okay. Wait. Hold on. It's been a little bit. It's been a bit. But we got some heat on feet. We got some heat on feet in this one. All right, Sanchi's back. So it does. I think we do have the Alabasta 6 here. Oda might be cooking. Sanchi's looking like a knight. I don't know. Even in just this silhouette of the Ifrit Jambe, it's looking better than what he was wearing in Egghead. So, all right. I'm digging the gloves. Ooh, okay, Luffy's here too. Oh, hands are okay. I mean, we got the East Blue 5 at least. Are we gonna see Chopper too? Because technically, like, Chopper doesn't really have to be there. As long as it's the little garden 5, and then we need Vivi though. Okay, so they attack this thing. Zoro's kind of, I mean, for Viking drip, I guess he's a little drippy. That Is that Sanji with the cape? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's give it a little, Germa. This is a double pager right here. A triple attack from the monster trio. Oh, we kicking Elbaf off. Okay. All right, next page. We're getting a little Skypiea vibes with this these goggles or whatever this mask is on Zoro. I wonder if this is like a cat that actually ate the lion fruit or something. Let's see. Okay, this is another big double pager here. Wow, they've already been eating some of these animals. Okay. Why does Zoro actually, now that I'm seeing the whole fit, why does he look like Drake? Okay, so this is it here. Okay, and then we get another big look at Yggdrasil. Yeah. Okay. So this doesn't actually affect too much of the video, but I do need to start talking about Yggdrasil in a different tense. And it does look like we've got different towns here, which is definitely feeding agenda. Okay. I'm here. I'm ready for Elbaf. Let's get into the discussion. Okay, we're back. Well, we never left. Anyway, this is a fun chapter. I mean, look, we got the old school vibes here. Going back, I'm sure people have already called this out, but when I finished, I went back to Alabasta because it reminded me of the attack against the Sandora lizard. And the chapter was chapter 162, and sure enough, it is like a full recreation, like panel for positioning for positioning. So Oda's not even trying to hide it. He's got Sanji in the same positioning, Luffy in the same positioning, Zoro in the same positioning. So with that being said, it makes me wonder if some of the parallels of Elbaf, or at least elements, which is something that we talked about last week as well, are actually going to mirror Alabasta. So, when we had pointed out that the crew members that were still on the ship were all of the crew members that were post Vivi, right? Post Alabasta. So Robin, Frankie, Brooke, Jinbei, those are the ones that we can see visually on the Great Eric. And so that led me to say that it's probably, the East Blue 5 or the Alabasta 6 that are on Elbaf. We don't know what's going on with Chopper. That's actually that's something that we're going to have to discuss today, because we are not seeing Chopper, and we did not see Chopper on the ship. I have some ideas, but basically all of this is even more VV hype. Like, Now, I want her to run into the crew members that she doesn't know first, because I think that there's more story there. But then there's also just a lot of fun if it's, you know, Vivi running around with the crew that she does know. But I don't know, it works either way. Either way, she's definitely coming back with all of this. But I want to know how many more elements of Alabasta are going to tie into Elbaf, especially considering that Alabasta was the arc that introduced so many concepts to us: the ancient weapons, the poneglyphs, the void century. So if Oda's trying to say right at the start that this is the other side of Alabasta, right, and not like a complete parallel mirror like Dressrosa was, but that what we're going to do is get the answers to the questions that were posed in Alabasta, then that's kind of interesting, right? Because we're going to see the books from Ohara. We're probably going to learn about ancient weapons. We'll get more details about the Void Century, especially if, you know, Vivi's involved. And that makes me believe that Crocodile, Mr. 3, and, you know, the Cross Guild are going to be even more involved in Elbaf. Because you can't fully, like, do the, you know, the bookend of everything that started in Alabasta without them. So, Elbaf's shaping up to potentially be one of the greatest arcs of all time. Now, alternatively, a lot of this feels like Thriller Bark. A little bit of Whole Cake, but more so Thriller Bark. All of the running around from the cat and everything like that is just, you know, Nami and Usopp running away from the Cerberus. And that's interesting, too, because Norse mythology has so much to do with, like, the underworld and the dead. So it's like Thriller Bark, you know, future analysis could be something, you know, where Thriller Bark is like the fake dead, but then we deal with the real dead in Elbaf. So there's like there's a lot of really interesting ways that all of this can go. Obviously, we have Yggdrasil now. I think I saw someone say earlier that they thought it looked small. But let's take into consideration here that we're on Elbaf. These are all giants. These buildings are so huge. That tree is going to be the biggest thing we've ever seen in the series. It's going to rival Giant Jack. So it's just, the way Oda drew it seems small, but once we actually like get up close to the tree at some point, it's probably going to be like the size of its own country on its own or something. Like it's going to, you're not going to be able to see any. It's going to be like as if you were standing against the red line. Probably not even going to be able to see anything else around it. But there should also be things on top of the tree. So if we're getting into the 9 realms and everything like that, there's some stuff that we can climb to. There's also some things we can climb underneath. But save all of that for the video that's coming out. It seems like Zeus was the voice calling out to Dami, which really was the obvious answer. Now, this concept about how they have to report something to the sun god. I've talked about this a little bit, go into a lot of detail in the video that's going to come out, but I have wanted a false prophet for Elbaf. And I didn't think that Oda would like immediately like go into it, which like just like bums me out when I'm like about to put a theory out and then like Oda like automatically shows that he's like kind of going into that direction. basically I want like a flip of Damala Black. Like Damala Black was a joke, but here if Loki is pretending to be Nika, you know, the sun god, then there could be a little bit more of a menacing element to it. And that, you know, there's a lot of ways that can tie into Usopp's arc, but more than anything, like I've talked about ad nauseum, right, is that I expect when Luffy like gets to Elbaf that no one's actually going to believe that he is the sun god, that he is Nika, right? Even like with Doriboki Oimo Akashi there to say it may not happen, especially if the winter solstice is going on and Luffy, like, you know, gets too hungry and he can't eat, although it seems like they're killing a lot of things here and getting food either way. But this rabbit that they killed, the ear god, is that's going to be a plot point. That's going to be something, because if it they're gonna have to answer to that. I could see a situation where they probably like get arrested for killing the ear god, go on trial. They have to answer for their crimes. This chapter is a lot of fun. I don't know if we'll ever get the answer, but you know, like I want to know how they got their outfits. Of course, we have to do drip check here. I like Luffy's. I figured Luffy would have a Viking hat. It's giving Vicky the Viking, which, you know, like absolutely. That's why wouldn't Oda like put Luffy in a hat that resembles the person who inspired the story in the first place? I don't know what's up with the goggles that Zoro has. I mean, you know, it's kind of Skypiea-y-ish, but, you know, it's also kind of Robin, you know, from Batman and Robin. There's a lot of Drake going on here. Sanji's in sort of like a knight's outfit, which I'm okay with. It is way better than what we've had for the past 2 years. So get into what everybody else is talking about here, and let's see. Shout out to Lydia Raven. Super, thanks. Said, love all the new fits except Zoro. Everybody's drippy AF, and then Zoro is over here looking like a damn linebacker for the Vikings. Well, if that was the inspiration, then there's another meta joke from Oda calling out the Vikings. But I don't think Zoro's is terrible. It is very like Beast Pirates coded though, which is like the weird part to me. You know, it looks like what Kinemon, you know, put them in to try and blend in at the beginning of Onigashima. But better. It's better than that. Blue Blah was telling me to check out the page that I talked about at the beginning, yeah. With the attack against the Sandora Lizard. Brandon King said, what do you think about the inconsistencies? Some of Nami's accessories are on the wrong side, and Luffy used Gear 3 but called out Gear 4. Yeah, I did notice that looked a little bit weird. Do I think that they're really hallucinating? I don't think that they're really hallucinating, but I think what it is probably, now that Luffy has become more equipped with Gear 5, what we're probably seeing here is a way for Luffy to use the power of Gear 4th without having to go into the Bounce Man form. So I think that that's what it is. I think we're going to see probably a lot more Gear 4th attacks with Luffy just maintaining his normal body. And that's kind of like what we got at the beginning of the time skip, where, you know, obviously Luffy was able to start moving in and out of Gear 2nd, 3rd, and use the attacks without reducing his size or seeming phased by it. So it may be a thing where Luffy has kind of overcome the hockey thing that, you know, basically the downsides of Gear 4th, I think, are gone because the downsides of Gear 5 are so powerful. So he's got infinite Gear 4th now, limited Gear 5 probably. Let's see. Tiago MC Cruz said, "When will the Elbaf video come out, Randy?" I would really love for it to come out. It is a break, right? Confirmed it's break, because that, you know, I would want it to come out this week, really. I hope it's a break. Brandon King super chatted and said, Usopp has now canonically been a sword and a shield. Oh man, Zoro using Usopp as a sword is still peak One Piece. Robert Trinka said, what if the place the crew are in is a sky island above Elbaf, where it's Lego pieces instead of clouds people can walk on? Thinking Yggdrasil is above the Atom Tree. Okay, so you're getting into some ideas of things that that match my thinking in a way. So one of the things that's interesting about like this resembling Alabasta is Alabasta was the first arc where we actually traveled to different towns and cities within a country. Prior to that, you know, it was really I mean, you could say technically drum, but you know, not really. More so that you had to travel vast distances. So we were really going island to island from that point, and then once we got to Alabasta, it was so long, and we were actually going from town to city to town to city. And I think that Elbaf will be kind of like that, and Oda's going to use Elbaf as a way to like get into a lot of the wackier ideas for islands that he may have had that he'll never get time to actually do. And Lego just sort of makes a lot of sense when you consider like the Danish real world connection. To show how massive Yggdrasil is, I do love the idea of this area being a part of that, which resembles the actual Yggdrasil, where it is the world tree, and on the various branches of the tree are different worlds, and Oda could be doing a visual representation of that, where the branches or the roots have different islands. Also kind of like the way that Wano was sort of broken up or stitched together, and there were different areas with different climates and all of that. We can deal with that. I definitely expect to see something that is like, you know, frozen over. That's, you know, that's definitely, you know, a thing. You know, probably Niflheim or something like that will have, you know, be frozen. But now the Atom Tree connection, I think that Yggdrasil is the Atom Tree. And I think of this because if Oda wants to do meta commentary, then one of the big meta commentaries that he could do is have Yggdrasil be the name of the tree for the locals, but the Atom Tree is what people outside of Elbaf call it. Or the Treasure Tree Atom isn't the strongest like wood in the world, and Yggdrasil's wood is. But we don't know where the Atom Tree is. We know where the Eve Tree is. We don't know where the Atom Tree is. So Frankie could have dealt with carvers from Elbaf when he was building the Thousand Sunny. Potentially. But the real point here and why I say this is because Christianity erased Norse mythology, pretty much. So, like, in the real world, Norse mythology predated Christianity, and when Christianity became popular, they did book burning, temple burning, all that stuff. If you didn't believe in Jesus, you were getting punished. Let's put it that way. So, having it be Yggdrasil to the locals, but Adam treat everything else as a way to, like, sort of erase their culture. Which also ties into the poneglyphs and everything like that. Like, it's, you know, there's some elements and some deeper things that we could get into if Odo, you know, wants to talk about that kind of stuff. Shin said that the title hints that this may not be Elbaf. Let's see, what is the title? Adventure in the Land of Mystery. It's definitely Elbaf. It's just a different part of Elbaf. We've got Vikings, we've got Legos, we have Yggdrasil, it's Elbaf. Like I said, Elbaf is going to have, it could potentially have up to 9 different islands on it. Huge islands. Shout out to Robert with the super, appreciate it. Said, thanks for reading the post, made my day. 100% agree and love the additional thoughts. This arc is going to be wild, and I'm here for it. Appreciate you, man. I'm with you. Let's see. Jonaso said people in the Nordics kept worshipping Aesir for centuries after official Christianization. Yeah, so don't get it twisted. Snorri Sturluson created the poetic, the prose Edda, and labeled it as fiction. This is all stuff I'm going to get into in the video, like, you know, where I you know, go deeper into all of it. But they basically burnt all of the texts, and then this one guy compiled what he could, but called it fiction and said that he didn't believe in it. So the Christians just sort of let it happen. And then it became sort of like an underground thing for everybody to, like, still sort of believe in, but publicly, like, they had to appease the Christians. Heat on books for sure. Let's see. Buck's Basement super chatted and said, hey Randy, 1 to 10, how cute is live action OPLA? OPLA is super cute. Sure you're talking about Chopper. 10. Which, speaking of that, how'd everybody enjoy the little tease of Chopper? We got the official confirmation that Joe is Crocodile. Of course, people figured that out a while ago. And then Lyra. It took a while for people to find that one, but eventually people found it. Nami does not have her tattoo, said Fatima. What? Oda probably just thought he didn't need to draw it because she's kind of got that mink thing, so. I think a lot of people are like really trying to make this a hallucination, and it's just. I know we set up the green fairy like absinthe and all of that, but this is not. The others wouldn't be looking for them if this was a hallucination. You know, like I'd be more inclined to like entertain that idea if we didn't already see everybody on the Great Eric. Let's see. BeatGamer99 said we only know that Adam Tree comes from a war-torn country. It's not something to easily be debunked yet. Joe D. Liz said, do you believe that Elbaf is a single island in the country of Warland? Some Japanese speakers and others follow that theory. Maybe. Because, you know, it's like Alabasta Kingdom is actually part of Sandy Island. So Elbaf could be the stand-in for like Jotunheim or something, and that's where Dory and Brogy are from. And that's like the town of Elbaf. Or the entire thing is Elbaf, and then there's just other areas, like in Alabasta, you had Alabarna, Rainbase, Nanohana, Katareya, Yuba, Eremalu. Like, there's all these different, like, areas and everything's in the Sandora River and all that. Like, so Elbaf could be the same way, where you have Jotunheim, Niflheim, Muspelheim, Asgard, Vergelmir. You know, and even then they're talking about, like, right at the beginning, they want to put the fire out with the spring water. And, you know, Norse mythology has the Vergelmir springs that flow from Valhalla down into Niflheim, and Oda's going to be incorporating all of that kind of stuff. I know I just threw out a bunch of like weird words and everything, but you know, that's that's what we're dealing with here. Raro said the ear twitch sold me for the for Chopper. Absolutely amazing. Saeed said, I don't think it was Zeus that called out to Nami last chapter, because he just got out of the Climateact after she used it to zap the bee and said good morning. Well, if that's the case, then it's Usopp, because and then Usopp like ran away from Nami and got eaten by the cat. But I'm still gonna lean towards Zeus for the time being. We'll have to talk about like manga Chopper soon instead of just the live action Chopper. Sarah said she loved the leak comment that Joe made. Yep, Chin flashes is Kronk. Have I met the actors and actresses? I've met some of them. Yeah. Not everybody, but I've met 3 out of the 5 Straw Hats. Oakley said, Randy, do you think the 9 islands or realms are stacked vertically as one would climb the Atom Tree or Yggdrasil? There is the possibility for that, but it would potentially feel like we're redoing Skypiea if that's the case. Unless we have the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridges that are like a fast travel way to the different realms if it is vertically. I think there's a possibility that at the top of Yggdrasil is the moon, and that's how we get there. But I think that there would be stuff underneath the tree as well, but then it also depends if the tree is its own thing and like Alabasta, everything is just spread out horizontally. And that's possible as well, where everything is actually split up by the roots of the tree, and you'd have these gigantic roots that kind of separate the towns. So there's a couple of different ways that it could go. Swaboosh said in Liam's video he pointed out quite a few inconsistencies. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's Liam's thing. He wants to point out all the things that are wrong all the time. I think any inconsistencies is just Oda being human. Until we see that it is actually a hallucination or something weird. But I'm not going to buy into that. Take a look at Luffy's weapon throughout the chapter. Sword to axe. No Straw Hat either, and we don't see his eyes. Alright, I'll look at that. Let's see.
Savage.
All right. The sword and the axe thing, yeah. I could probably give you that because it does look like that's a much different hilt on him when he's standing on the cat, and then in the close up he's got an axe. I also think that this is just Oda being human, though. I think realistically, the close up is what we need to focus on, and that means that Luffy's carrying around an axe right now. And he's definitely got his straw hat, we don't know where it is. Luffy would be a little more upset if the hat was lost. Like, it would probably be like the first thing he says, like, hey guys, we gotta find my hat. Or the hat is just underneath the Viking hat. But the other thing too here, and why I think that this is like Oda being human, is that we don't see the same inconsistencies with Sanji and Zoro. Like, when I look at them, like, Zoro still has all 3 of his swords, Sanji still has the same stuff on. Yeah, when they're doing the attack, you can't see that Luffy has the axe on his back or, whatever. And then suddenly he does. So it's strange. But Oda's human. Let's see. Catching up, catching up, catching up. Tomato, Randy, were you also playing God of War to gather as much information about Norse mythology to make the big Elbaf video? I have never played the games, but as I did my research, I did see a lot of stuff that was implemented into the games, and I at one point do mention God of War in the video in reference to an adaptation of a certain character. Vasil Vladivanovici supered, appreciate you as always, and said, other hints to this all being a hallucination. Luffy wears nothing on his back, then it's a sword, then an axe. Usopp's bag appears and disappears. I don't know. Brandon saying Sanji's Ifrit was on the wrong leg. I don't think it. I think he can use Ifrit Janbei on both legs, guys. Vasil supered again and said, "What if it's Loki's trickery?" See, now that's more like it. Like, I would rather have somebody have like a reality bending fruit, which would allow him to trick citizens into thinking that he's the sun god, right? Because it's like what you need is you need escalation. So at the end of Egghead, Oda introduces us to this idea where Bonnie can now go Nika, can turn sun god. So now it's like, okay, other people can do this, potentially within, some sort of parameters. And we get to Elbaf, it only makes sense that, we would also see this again, but now from someone sort of abusing that and taking advantage of people. So he would need to be able to warp reality or manifest things in order for people to really believe it. He's got to change his appearance to appear all white. Now, the other thing too is that if it is truly something that anyone can achieve, then maybe Loki did. Maybe Loki reached that point of awakening. I don't know, but I would actually prefer if it was a weaker version. So it's like Luffy and Bonnie have versions that actually manipulate reality. And then Loki is achieving it through manipulating reality, but not in the same way that they are. So he doesn't have access to the actual full potential or power that those two have reached, because they've actually opened their third eye and allowed themselves to believe that anything is possible. So Loki, like Usopp, should be a liar, and Usopp should be able to expose that lie, especially if Usopp is able to, like I did in the Sun God Usopp video, achieve a Sun God form of his own, which maybe is more powerful than what Loki achieves. Loki should not be Luffy's opponent, it should be Usopp's opponent. So, there should be way more things that are going on in Elbaf that are going to, force Luffy to have to go ahead and handle, whether that's Shanks, whether that's Crossgill, Blackbeard, whatever, Ragnarok starts happening, doesn't matter. But this guy going around and messing things up from the sidelines, Loki, that should be what Usopp does. Lydia Raven supered and said, in my opinion, Usopp thinking he's hallucinating and then getting absolutely wrecked. Verifiable proof that this isn't a hallucination. Yes, not only that, like I said before, the main reason why this isn't a hallucination is because we saw the great Eric. And everybody else was looking for the crew. So were they hallucinating also? just accidentally tripping over Luffy and everything while they're tripping and not seeing him. The Sunny's really still attached to the ship. What this is Oda is starting this arc in media res. He is starting it in the middle of everything. He's creating a mystery on the island of mystery. There's a writing technique that says, you know, you gotta start late, end early. So instead of seeing the Straw Hats pull in to Elbaf and do this whole exploration thing and everything like that, like we did, like, you know, Zoe is an example of the opposite of that, where, you know, well, I mean, even then you're starting late by getting there when all of the destruction is happening. But from the perspective of the Straw Hats arriving, you see them actually like exploring the land. Here, they were already on the island and they don't know how they got to the island, which is already sort of creating the conversation that we're having now. We're saying, how did they get there? What is going on, right? That's what Oda wants. It creates more story opportunity, more ways to write things, because then he can find ways to sort of like drip feed those answers. It doesn't have to be some sort of like great and crazy reveal, but it will be a reveal. Maybe it was the person, the silhouette that we saw that was watching them or whatever. Like that was actually someone that, you know, took the ship and started doing like, I don't know, like a Mr. Mixelpidalic sort of situation, and like kind of came onto the ship and like stole away specifically the East Blue 5 and maybe Chopper. But either way, I don't think that this is a hallucination. Do not. Yes, like the stream, everybody. Shout out to my guy Ty. Put those W's in the chat. W's in the chats.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Ty said, sorry I'm late, Captain. Short chapter plus break week equals broken heart. Hopefully I get this video out and that'll, you know, make things a little easier for you, man. Ty said, how many arcs do you see in this saga? Also, this is a bounty I'm putting out for Chrissy. It's been too long. What's up, Savage Crew? Yeah, we do need to get Chrissy back on here. We've been talking about it. She's excited about Elbaf, so we probably get her back in here sometime. It's just hard with, you know, with Mars. I mean, you know, somebody's got to watch him. But how many arcs do I see in this saga? Like the final saga. So we had Egghead. We'll have Elbaf. There's obviously going to be a Laugh Tale, probably like Lodestar, Holy Land, Epilogue. But the thing is like within Elbaf, I'm hoping that this is like, you know, a 60 to 80 chapter arc that is like sort of split up into different things, where it's like, you know, 10 chapters of Legoland, 20 chapters of, you know, Jotunheim, 18 chapters of Niflheim, and then we got, you know, some chapters in Asgard, you know, like something like that. Like I want us to go to different unique areas within Elbaf. So Yeah, I'll package them right up, DK. Let's see. Catching up here. Brandon King said Egghead could be Elbaf's setup arc, talking about gods and wishes and reality. Well, I've talked about that, you know, in terms of like really reminding us of like the Willie Gallen quote, the 1069 explanation of devil fruits. Like it's a setup for all of the weirder like sun god things that we're going to explore here in Elbaf. Like he turned into Nika at the end of Wano. Egghead was a way to kind of like explore and sort of sit with that Gear 5 element. And then this, I've said this before, everybody wants this to be Usopp's arc. This is Luffy's arc. This is going to be the most Luffy arc we've ever had. There's going to be so much stuff here about Luffy, about the Sun God, about Nika, everything. People will shine. The plot demands that Robin has her moments. Usopp should definitely have his moments. And, but Luffy will take center stage. DK said, wanted to hit you with a theory based on your AJ collab, Randy. Sure. To build on your Buggy doesn't laugh theory with AJ. Oda loves theater. Shanks and Buggy both see the One Piece double page. Buggy is sad. Shanks is laughing to reference Ace's hat and the theater masks. That's kind of fun. I like the callback to Ace's hat. And Buggy met Ace. Shanks met Ace. It's cool that Oda, even though he didn't have it planned that Ace would be Roger's son, the story conveniently had him meet like the other Roger Pirates members, though, except for Rayleigh. At least in the like canon manga that we can see. Get back into this, into looking at all of this. I love that, we're still here and everything is Lego. So it's not like a Lego power. I mean, it still could potentially be. I just like that everything is just built like Legos. Like that's just so much fun. I wonder if they are in the area where Loki is. Like, is this supposed to be Asgard? Like, because Loki would live in a castle, so are they in Loki's castle? The Big Stein castle. Stein obviously being a reference to, like a mug. The next chapter will probably like involve someone coming in and taking ownership of the cat. because the cat has a like crown on it, right? So if the next chapter introduced Loki, and it's like, hey guys, what are you doing? That's my cat. He ate the lion for, you know, whatever. I think this cat is going to continue to be a character. Oda put a lot of emphasis onto the cat. We still haven't met like the tag-along character of the arc. It would be kind of crazy if it is Loki. You know, that kind of messes with my headcanon and everything that I've put into this video, but it's like, if Loki is the first person we meet and like kind of travels with us and becomes our friend, that would be kind of realistically strange. But in the video, I have an idea of like what kind of a character it'll be. But just based on everything with this chapter, I don't know. It's just like, I think we're definitely in the next chapter going to like get an Oda box for some character that's, you know, going to be like the Tama, Marguerite, Brooke, Kinemon, Heroes, Rebecca, you know, like the tag along for a little bit. Like who do we have to help here? Every arc's got it, so I don't think we're changing anything this late in the game. Do I think the Tama stand-in is the kid that Shanks said no to? I think it'll be interesting if Luffy does interact with that kid, but the thing is that kid is in the town that Dory and Brogy are from, and we are in a different town. We have seen the structure of the buildings there, and they are not Legos, which is, you know, what implies that, yes, we do have different areas. Like, this is the Danish, you know, world here. This could be Asgard. And then, you know, the other area is, you know, I think it's Jotunheim. So... Lego fruit would be cool, said Kip. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, especially if like they're like just like building walls like Mr. 3 with Legos. Also, shout out to Usopp and Nami for surviving that fall. They've grown so much. Let's see. Brandon said, if the ear god is a rabbit, does that mean that the godhood and crowns mean they revere animals and nature highly above everything else? Mars could definitely be a warrior god from Elbaf, animals and nature. I mean, in Norse mythology, just like Greek mythology and, you know, various other mythologies, there's always like a god of something. You know, you have gods of poetry, gods of love, gods of war, gods of this, gods of that. So this was, you know, the rabbit was the ear god. There are a lot of giant creatures in Norse mythology. Fenrir, Jormungandr. You know, there's one story where the Jormungandr was able to turn into a cat. You know, I don't know if that necessarily applies here, and that means that the cat is really Jormungandr, because instead of turning from a lion into the cat should have turned into a snake. But, you know, regardless, like there's a lot of stories about animals turning into other animals, people turning into animals, which we already have in One Piece, but we should get ready for even more of it in Elbaf. Hyken said, do you think that Enel could come back in this arc? I do. I have a lot of fun ways that it can happen that'll be in the video. I don't want to start spoiling the video until you know, after it's out. But I think I've got some ways that he could come back that people probably aren't talking about. So it's fun. Let's see. Tiago said, it's possible Loki's a tag-along partner cast away because he fell in love with Big Mom's daughter, Lola. Given the giant hate for Big Mom, what do we know about him? I mean, that's interesting, because all we know is that Lola said that he wasn't her type, but that doesn't mean that Loki couldn't have actually been interested in Lola. I do think that the hate for Big Mom does have to be a plot point. I do talk about that in my video. But I think a thing that, you know, we really haven't explored, if Oda was going to switch things up a little bit, he could have Loki be the tag-along character, and then have Loki turn on them, which Oda hasn't really done effectively. I can't really think of an instance where one of the tag-alongs, I feel like somebody betrayed them. Tag-along that betrayed them. I mean, you could technically say Viola, but, you know, but then it was like a twist on a twist. And I would rather just, like, if he was going to do it, I'd rather it be like Die Hard, you know, where, you know, when Bruce Willis was walking around with Alan Rickman, and then he realizes, like, oh, wait, you're the guy, you know? And then it wasn't like Alan Rickman eventually was just like, oh, but I'll be your friend now. Like, he stayed the bad guy. Pudding was the like the first person we met at Whole Cake, and then, but even then, that's another thing. It's the twist on the twist. So Oda hasn't done it in a way where the character who turned stayed bad. And even then, I think with Loki, it would still be the twist on the twist, probably, because I still don't see Loki as like the main antagonist. Kanjuro wasn't the tag-along, though, because Kanjuro was sort of like I get what you're saying, and in that situation, yes, but he was an addition who did technically tag along, right? But he wasn't the first person we met. Like, the first person, the initial people that we met were like Rebecca and Kyros. Those are the type of characters that I'm talking about. And Rebecca and Kyros never actually, like, you know, turned or anything. Conus sold them out. Yeah. Conus is a good example of the tag-along character, but then again, turn on a turn, right? Because she had that moment where she like goes up against McKinley and the others in Skypiea. So at the end of it, she stood for the Straw Hats. So, but I guess that's really just Oda's style, is turn on a turn. So it's like, hypothetically, if Loki appears in the next chapter and is like, hey, I need your help, right? And the Straw Hats start helping him, blah, 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 blah. And eventually it's like, oh, I'm actually the guy that's like making all of the problems. Ha 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 ha, right? But they don't have time to fight him or whatever because Shanks, Blackbeard, Cross Guild, whatever, like they show up, and then Usopp gets roped up in like trying to defeat Loki. Like that would be interesting to me. But the end of all of it, you know, it's like Oda would probably do something where Loki, like at the end, helps them take down somebody or whatever, you know, like essentially the, you know, like in the father-son Kamehameha, right? When Vegeta pulls up and like hits him, you know, it's like you could get an instance where Loki like takes the Vegeta role, like at the, you know, the last thing is just like, I've got to save my world, you know, this is my kingdom, you know, like you're not going to destroy it. I'm the only one who can destroy my kingdom. So shout out to Josh Thunder 2. Appreciate the 20. I said, sorry to come back to this, but Oda did set up the Green Fairy. Both arguments make sense if they are or aren't hallucinating. We can all agree that someone has to be affected by it. If not now, then when? I think that they were affected by it, and that's what allowed them to get captured and get to this point. Like, they got roofied, someone undressed them and redressed them like they were little dollies. And, you know, that's a little weird in its own way, but very weird, especially in the case of Nami, and in the case of everybody. But we could have had an entire chapter of everybody like, you know, just tripping balls on the Great Eric, but Oda skipped past that, and they think that it's that. And here's the thing too, is that Oda wants you to think that this is an illusion. That's the whole point. That's the fun of it, right? Hey, this thing will have you tripping. And then you find out, oh no, the trip is over. This is 2 days after the trip. They've landed. They're awake. They're back. Miles said Robin's location and POV are going to be crucial to understand what's happening. Well, either way, the other guys are going to dock at Dorian Brogy's village, which is going to be different than this one. We're going to be split up for probably, 10 to 20 chapters here. And the other thing that Oda's going to start doing is switching POVs like he did at the beginning of Egghead. So it's like, it may not be the next chapter, but probably like the chapter after. We could split POV with the other Straw Hats in the next chapter, and then like following chapter should go to like a different island or something and catch us up on some things. Because if the Cross Guild or Vivi are going to play a role in here, we need to move that along. Damien said, Usopp Nika form bounty poster incoming. I'm ready. Jody List thinks that we're going to hear about the missing 2 days later on. Maybe. I mean, I'd rather hear about what happened around the world in those 2 days rather than, what happened to the Straw Hats. But we will know who, took them. But the other thing is like, why
Savage.
specifically them? Why the East Blue Five? Other than, like, I would love a plot reason that isn't just, hey, I'm circling back to the beginning of the story and I want to focus on the main characters of this. Because that's what Oda's trying to do. Like, the reason why everybody's saying, oh, wow, this feels like pre-time skip, wow, this feels so old, is because we have the East Blue Five together, exploring an island again. That's what Oda's trying to give us. Like, the story is going to end soon, and before it does, he wants to pack and cram as much nostalgia as possible, which is why we're just with the East Blue Five right now. The other characters are great, and they're going to have their own, like, time in the sun here, but Oda's going to give us a few chapters where he just sort of gets to play with his, you know, his main guys. Leah Raven said Stein is stone in Old Norse, so basically this castle is just big stone castle. Yeah, I like that. But also mugs are called steins too, and especially like in Viking shows and everything, like they're passing around steins and things like that. So it's both. Brandon King said, what if this is Alfheim, the land of elves? Oda's combining mythological elves with the elves who make toys for Santa like Legos. I mean, that'd be cool. You know what I'd also like is if it's a situation where every Heim, you know, every realm has their own little nobility and like prince, princess, king, and all of that. You know, that'd be pretty cool. It'd get a little chaotic, but yeah. Ty said, what if Loki's a bit of a fanboy who's been tracking the East Blue Five? And this is his chance to meet and test them. I mean, hey, look, I like that too. I just don't want it to be a thing where, like, we already know the connection between Loki and Lola. I just don't want it to be a full Thriller Bark retread where Loki like has the hots for Nami, like Absalom did, and like didn't get to marry Lola, so wants to marry Nami. Like, I don't want to do that. That's all. But I mean, it would be crazy if Loki's like low-key a Barto. You know what would be kind of crazy too is like if they meet Loki in the next chapter, but he introduces himself as the sun god. Like, hey, I'm the sun god. And Luffy's just like, oh, hi. Cool. Like, I could actually see that now. Now that I'm saying it, like, they'll just run into it. And I don't remember if they have the context of, you know, what that means or something. I mean, I feel like Nami could be one of the ones like didn't Vegapunk like call Luffy that? What is that? You know, but then like just sort of throws it away until it becomes like a bigger plot point where it's like, oh no, wait, Luffy's the sun god? Oh. Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. Shout out to my guy Mark. Super appreciate you, man. Said, yo, Captain, I'm late, but did you discuss the possible weirdnesses with the Monster Trios attack? I saw Peoples was on that. Yeah, I just think it's Oda being human. I think Oda wants you to think that there's some sort of like weird hallucination thing going on, but it's just Oda being human. Dawn Knight said, what if it's a Gondor type situation? Louis was supposed to keep the throne ready for the actual sun god, or Loki was supposed to keep the throne ready for the actual sun god, but doesn't want to give it up now. Gondor calls for aid. It could be like that, but the thing also is that whether or not, you know, they're keeping the seat warm, Luffy doesn't want that seat. He wants a different seat. So that, you know, that's a plot point in itself. Brennan said Loki's wearing the Sogeking's sun mask. Oda likes Jim Carrey, and the mask was Loki's. I mean, hey, look, I'm down if there's some more Jim Carrey stuff written in here. Especially considering that, like, Gear 5 is already so mask coded to begin with that, you know, it's like it would actually be interesting if we already have the Tamate pills, which give you like sun god powers, right? So if there was a mask or something that was created in the Void Century that also emulates the power of the sun god, like that's interesting too. Enzo said, how do I think Shanks is going to come to play in this arc? I mean, if we're going to do full Ragnarok, like, we're going to need a battle against all of the 4 emperors, and Luffy needs to fight Shanks. That's what it is. Like, it's either going to happen here or it's going to happen at Laugh Tale, but Luffy and Shanks are going to fight. And it's not that it's going to be like a full, like, I'm going to, you know, beat you, Shanks, I hate you, Shanks, and all that stuff. Like, no, Luffy's going to want to do it because he wants to prove that he's better than Shanks. Jen said, Randy, have you watched any of the Sonic movies? Jim Carrey's comeback to cinema. It's the series that Jim Carrey went all in on. It's like, I'm not going to do any sequels, but hey, I'll do 50 Sonic movies. They're fun. They're fun. I've watched them with Mars. Mars was watching it yesterday, actually. The second one. I will be seated for the third one, and I have to finish the Knuckles show. I've just been so busy.
You loyal.
Emil Diaz, member for 40 months. So, the guys in the first page might not be giants. I think they are. I think they're all giants. But I do think that we need like a character that is Elbaphian that is not a giant. Like someone who was raised on the island. Like that would be a good like tag-along character, is someone who lives on an island of giants but isn't a giant. Like I feel like that would be something interesting to venture into, to find whoever that is, whatever that is. Ty's got to run. I'll get we'll get Chrissy in here. I did text her what you sent, and and she actually responded. She said, "Aw, tell him I can make an appearance soon. Not next week though, but soon." She's working on something next week. Duran Rostuvia said, the world tree has tons of races, so I would not be surprised if not only giants live here. Yeah. Tyrannosaur chapter was great. Soulflake said, what specific reason do you think is going to bring Vivi to Elbaf? So many. She was a part of Little Garden when we met the giants, so she should be involved when we get to the island of giants. The story demands that Luffy, Vivi, and Sabo be in the same room, so that means that Vivi is going to reunite with the crew at some point. Whether or not Sabo is going to play a role in Elbaf is to be determined, but right now Oda is specifically focusing on the early characters. You have, in this chapter, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji. We don't know where Chopper is. Everybody else that joined after Vivi is on the giant pirate ship, and they will land on a different area. But this is definitely setting up the reunion with Vivi. It's either going to happen with these guys in Legoland, or it's going to happen with everybody else on the ship, and Vivi's got to, learn who everybody else is and have her, time to hash things out with Miss All Sunday. And on top of that, the attack on the cat was the exact same framing of the attack against the Sandora lizard, which is Oda also throwing a bunch of Alabasta stuff in there. So we're going to answer all of the questions that were asked during the Alabasta saga. Vivi's got to be present. Miles said, new race, please. If we get another race, I'd love to see trolls. And have them be like meta trolls that just insult everybody. We could also have elves. We need an explanation of the Yeti Cool Brothers. So we'll probably get frost giants. That there's actual giants and then there's frost giants, and that's what the Yeti Cool Brothers are. And they're specifically from Niflheim or something. Big Stinky said Chopper, Fenrir, he's a Tanuki. The Norse reindeer myth is too on the nose. Fenrir, Chopper, or bust. No, I think that Oda would go on to the Norse reindeer myth. So he would make Chopper a version of Eikthenir or something. And if Chopper goes Sulong or has a Nika form of his own, he would resemble the stag of legends in Valhalla. And it's possible that I actually didn't go into this, but I did talk about what could Chopper be doing now? If they did take Chopper as well, it's possible that Chopper's captured and being saved as a pet. Oh wow. Or it's believed that he is Eikthenir, right? Or Eikthyr. And if that's the case, it could also be a situation where Chopper's fruit literally is the model Eikthenir or something fruit. I mean, and it never was a human fruit at all. Because we don't really know what his fruit is, right? But it could be the Hito no Mi. But we need to know what model it is. And maybe it's a model giant. Who knows? That's why he's able to go Monster Point. But I think there's some opportunities here to kind of explore what Chopper is also. Emil said Chopper is Ratatosker. So, I mean, this is kind of spoiling. I do think that we need a Ratatosker. And I talk about Ratatoskr in the video. And it is funny. I might add in a little bit about Chopper being like, instead of being called a Tanuki on Elbaf, that it actually would be funny if people thought that he was Ratatoskr. I want a character to have the squirrel fruit, and then their quirk is that they just insult everybody like Ratatoskr does. Ratatoskr is a squirrel that hurls insults across Yggdrasil in the Norse myths. So it's like the perfect sort of tag along character, as if we had a Ratatoskr. And they're just constantly insulting everybody as as the arc runs around. Brandon said Chopper is literally emergency rations now. That'd be a wild joke. I mean, especially if there's, you know, the winter solstice going on, they may be looking at Chopper like, oh man. And then Chopper's like, you know, he's grown, right? So he's just like, no. Luffy needs me. Bite off my arm. Something crazy. What's up, Fatch? Jacob said Chopper being worshipped like C-3PO by the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Now that I'd love. But it'd also be really funny if that's like what happens to Frankie. That's like one of my favorite things in Star Wars, actually. C-3PO getting worshipped by the Ewoks. It's so funny. You know, some people don't like the Ewok storyline in Return of the Jedi, and yes, it was just to sell toys and everything. Originally, it was supposed to be a land of Wookiees, and then George Lucas was like, I could probably sell more toys if they're little teddy bears, though. It's literally what changed. It was gonna be all Wookiees. It was gonna be Chewbacca season, but then we got the Ewoks. But, you know, they worshipped C-3PO, and that's amazing. Fun facts. Volkazard said if CP0 comes back, they could send Jobber, and he could become an awakened Fenrir-like. Yeah. I think it's possible that we just like how we have this giant cat lion thing. There's just a giant wolf. And that's Fenrir. Like, I don't need it to be a person. Fenrir doesn't actually transform. He's not like a werewolf to begin with. So, like, Loki's just got like instead of a son that is a giant wolf, it's just got a pet. Mr. Nine is asserting that we are not in Elbaf. Saying, do you remember when we arrived in Elbaf? If not, you shouldn't take for granted that we are on Elbaf. We are on Elbaf. We are on Elbaf. Like, the larger island that encompasses many different islands. We're here. Whether or not the whole thing is called Warland and Elbaf is another town somewhere else, but it's all one gigantic landmass, or multiple different landmasses that are separated by Yggdrasil. We are still with Vikings and giants and all this other stuff. Username not found said it's kind of weird that skeletons outside of the castle are human-sized. Not necessarily. They just ate some people that, you know, weren't built for the new world. Jacob said, me too, Randy. C-3PO Ewok thing was one of the funniest things I saw as a kid. Yeah. Peak comedy. Oh, that's a good point. Emil said, I'm guessing Chopper was not in this chapter. Since he talks to animals, he would remove the mystery. You know, that's a thing that like I feel like Oda like constantly forgets. Like, when's the last time Chopper talked to an animal? That was like such a key thing that was just like, oh wow, cool, he talks to animals, he can understand Karoo, like blah blah blah, talking to all these animals in Alabasta. But that's another thing where, like, if there's so many things about Alabasta in this arc, we could bring back the idea that Chopper talks to animals because we have all these giant animals for Chopper to talk to now. And we'll be like riding around on, you know, giant animals like we were in Alabasta. But if Chopper was taken as well, it's very possible that he is in a different area by himself, in whatever is the representation of Valhalla, if Oda is trying to go the Ike Thurner route. Also, Luffy's hat is missing. Maybe. Or maybe it's just underneath the Viking hat. Said that earlier, but that's what I think. I don't think his hat's missing. Luffy would be like, guys, we gotta find my hat. Let's see here. I don't know. I love this chapter. It's like, it's exactly what I want out of One Piece. It's the kind of stuff, you know, like Oda succeeded. He wanted to make it feel like pre-time skip with all of the, you know, the East Blue 5, and I think that he succeeded. I think that this is a perfect blend of pre-time skip and post-time skip, and it's what I've been wanting the entire post-time skip to begin with. Just took here to get here. I just hope he doesn't like breeze through this. I actually would love if we just get a lot more of this. We'll probably wrap up fairly soon here, but let's throw out some more questions, things that we can try and like figure out and predict, and then I want to get started on getting out this predictions video that I keep talking about. But confirm for me, guys, that it is definitely a break, and I'll be right back. Okay. uh, Nami's log pose is missing. Okay, then we gotta get that back. All right, everybody's still talking about the hallucination stuff. Look, if it is a hallucination, everything that we're seeing outside is not. So everything on the Great Eric, they're not hallucinating. Them being worried about Yggdrasil burning, not a hallucination. If it is a hallucination, they are still on Elbath. And there are still going to be giant animals. So I don't understand anything other than, like, then it would be, from Nami's point of view, all of the other Straw Hats don't exist. And everything that happened to her didn't happen, but everything else happened, and she's been using Zeus and causing... Like, that's where it doesn't make sense to me. Because then... like, Oda wasted these fits on the other Straw Hats, and that's not what they're really wearing, or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we gain if it is a simulation, a hallucination, unless, you know, like, I'm totally down only if it's Loki has some sort of, like, reality bending fruit, which is, like, I that's what I want his power to be anyway. Like, he needs to bend reality if he's going to, if he's going to pretend to be the sun god. Tomato said, "How was this week's episode? If anybody has seen it, I haven't watched it yet, so definitely tell me how it was." I did not hear about Garling's voice actor being the same as Senior Pink's. That's interesting. Do I think Saul knows Shanks? Maybe not. That may end up being something that we have over Shanks. Shanks may have, like, had an interaction with Saul when he was a vice admiral, but I would like it if, no matter how many times Shanks has been to Elbath, he doesn't actually know about O'Hara's books being there. Because if he does know about Saul, then it has to tie into, like, the greater prophecy of everything with Luffy, and, like, that Shanks has been secretly protecting Elbath because the books are there also, and he wants Luffy and Robin to find them, and all of this other prophesized determined time. What does it matter if Luffy's eyes were never visible? Like, there's plenty of shots with Luffy smiling with his eyes like that. And everybody is entirely and completely in character here and using attacks. This is happening, guys. This is really happening. There may be like manipulations and machinations happening on top of all of this, but these people, these characters, are physically in whatever space this is. If everything around them isn't real, they are. Yes, it's a break week. Okay. Good, 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 good. Episode was pretty good. Tiago says a must watch for sure. Jolly D Joe Star said a Gear 5 bargain sale. I mean, that's going to happen. Predictions for the next chapter. We need to catch up with the... we should definitely like get the geography of Chopper, like wherever he is. Like if he's in a different area or not. It'd be nice to see the other Straw Hats like docking at Dorian Brokey's village. If we are continuing from this point, then we should get introduced to the tag-along character for the arc. And as discussed previously, it would be interesting if it was Loki, but Loki introduces themselves as the sun god. And no one really bats an eye. That's probably a good, like, end of a chapter, like, thing. Like, who are you, mister? Oh, me? I'm the sun god. Brennan said Theory for Theory with the Drock show. Been loving their stuff lately, and they've been killing it, in my opinion. Yeah, I like their stuff too. Have they ever done a collab though? I mean, I think they just caught up. I think that the Drock show is like a really fun thing for Drock to do with his mom, you know? Like I don't know if I need to interfere with that. Would it be fun to talk with them about stuff? Sure, but you know, I don't think that's what his mom is in everything for. I think she's just trying to do something cute with her son and like engage with the community, but I don't know if they're trying to do collabs and stuff. Like I don't know what their YouTube goals are to say like, hey, yeah, let's do a Theory for Theory with them. You know, AJ was different because like he had already collabed with Recon, so it was like, okay, well, you're like open to the idea of collaborating and talking about the series. So, yeah, we should do a Theory for Theory, and put some names in the chat. Dawn and Dusk, I hear a lot about that. I'm not really familiar with them. Do they do like on-camera stuff, or are they like an art tour or Vinland or something? Has anybody ever seen Fable or Elbaffi lately? Like we finally got to Elbaf. What happened to Fable? Where's Fable? We did it. We're here. Miss that guy. DK said Fable's doing good. He's busy. Good for him. Yeah, let him know. Hidden just dropped a new Gorsey theory. Has been making his comeback to One Piece YouTube. He'd be perfect. Yeah, I'd like to talk to Hidden sometime soon. I'll think about that one. Because I know Hidden is also like on board with a lot of like Norse mythology stuff. And I know that he's had a bunch of Elbaf theories in the past. I might want to let Elbaf cook a little bit. You know, maybe Hidden for like the next one. Get a couple more chapters in and like really get a lay of the land. Then it'd be really fun. Nasty Ninja said Mama Drock wants to be at a reverie. Is that like actual quote? Is that true? Tiago said, I want to see Vivi seeing Robin sobbing, reuniting with Saul would break the robotic killer view that she had of her. I think that view is already gone, as seen with the scene where Vivi is asked about Robin joining the crew and how she feels about it. And, you know, by Ikarim and her dad and all that. And she's like, if Luffy, you know, she's just basically said, like, I trust Luffy. I think that they would call each other Miss Wednesday and Miss All Sunday for a while, and then they would need some sort of event to, like, kind of open up and start calling each other Vivi and Robin. And, like, that dynamic and that arc would be really fun to explore and see, though. And it would be like when, you know, Robin joined the crew and was, like, just called everybody by their jobs instead of their names. Joy Girl was in the last like 3 or 4 Theory for Theories, and not only did I collab with Joy Girl on the channel here, the following week I went and collabed with Joy Girl on her channel, so we did back-to-back collabs. So Joy Girl, yeah, wait a little bit, because we've talked about a lot of stuff. Ragnar, yes, we're getting into Valhalla territory here. Ragnar, I've tried getting back on the channel. He was the first Theory for Theory, so I mean, bringing back Ragnar would be interesting. It's just tough when you do the collabs with people who don't use their camera, like Joy Boy Theories and Ragnar, you know, I have to do like a whole extra setup for it.
It's about to get spicy.
Fable, my guy. Literally, like, as we were talking about Elbaf, I was like, where is Fable? Fable said, we waited for this. Yeah, everybody better upvote that, because that's hilarious. That's hilarious. You want to talk about manifestation? I just manifested Fable back into the chat. I'm guessing DK reached out because he said he was gonna. Appreciate you, brother. We're here. We made it. We're in Elbaf. There's some people in the chat that want to tell me that this isn't Elbaf. This is Elbaf. We are on Elbaf.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
That was Elbaf right there. That was Fable, which is Elbaf backwards, of course. He saw the Fable signal. You guys better drop those W's in the chat. Like, this is insane. Appreciate you, my guy. How you enjoying Legoland?
In a lavish bracket, gotta have it. Racks, I gotta have it. Beat my fabric. Do you see this jacket? Pay my taxes. Trust me.
Fable came back with the lavish activity. Fable. Sashiburi da na. Fable. Do I think any of the government will come to Elbaf? Yes, I do. So part of Ragnarok is that Yggdrasil burns. And that's something that I forgot to talk about in this, is that we've already set that up, because in the first pages of Elbaf, the giants are concerned that the fire would reach Yggdrasil, and if the fire reaches Yggdrasil, that they're all done for. But that is a huge part of Ragnarok, is that fires do reach Yggdrasil. So this is like the foreshadowing right at the beginning of the arc. Yggdrasil will catch fire. Yggdrasil will burn, and I think it would be great if Akainu is the one that like is responsible for it burning. So depends on how long we're going to be on Elbaf, because obviously like Akainu is weeks away technically, unless he knows some way to fast travel. But something should burn it. Now, theoretically, not only could it be Akainu that burns it, if we hit a certain lightning god back onto the island using certain, electricity, he could burn the tree. If Big Mom shows up, she could burn the tree. The tree will burn. For those who don't know, Ragnarok is the theorized, prophesized end of the world in Norse mythology. And I believe that all of One Piece has been preparing us for Ragnarok because it is a prophesized thing. It's something that Odin, the Allfather, saw and tried to prevent for centuries. We have a void century in the story and what appears to be a prophesized time when something's going to happen. So whether or not Oda actually calls it Ragnarok, the thing that Roger was too early for will probably have something to do with Norse Ragnarok. Ooh, I like that. Ymil said, imagine there's a tribe of Lunarians at the top of Yggdrasil called the Valkyries. I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good flip. That's smart. You smart.
Someone cooked here.
Something about that green screen. I don't know. Like I leave it alone and then it resizes itself sometimes just randomly. It's supposed to be the whole thing. Fable said, I didn't think chapter 1 of my new favorite series, Elbaf, was going to be like this. Can't wait to meet all these Vikings for the first time ever. Look, I'm just happy we're with the East Blue 5. If we get Chopper in there, it's the Alabasta 6. We get Vivi in there, it's the Alabasta 7. Which is going to happen. And this is going to be the makings of potentially the greatest arc in One Piece, because it's what inspired One Piece. Miguel said, bro, when I read Ear God, I thought of Nell immediately. But then they literally said it was a rabbit. And then at the end of the chapter, you hear them talking about the rabbit that they cooked. So, someone cooked here. They killed the Ear God, and they will have to answer for their crimes. Miles said, need a Robin and Vivi team-up plot. Yeah, that's what's going to get them to stop calling each other Miss Wednesday and Miss All Sunday. Like, if the story forces them to work together on something, love it. And if Croc is there, yeah, all the better. Because we've already got the Alabasta parallels with the Sandora lizard attack, so let's get the Cross Guild in here. Let's answer all of the questions from Alabasta in Elbaf, so that if Alabasta is already my favorite arc, and then if we get all of the answers to Alabasta in Elbaf, we've got the makings of best arc or second best arc right there. Fable said, so who's the poser sun god? Why is there a false god in Elbaf? Fable, I'm glad you asked. We've missed you around here, buddy, and we need a poser sun god, okay? There needs to be a false prophet, like a more threatening Damalo Black, and basically it's got to be Loki. It's got to be Loki. Loki probably wasn't in the line of succession, and he tricked his way into the line of succession by using some sort of reality warping or manifestation power to make the gullible giants believe that he was the sun god, in the same way that Mother Carmel would use the soul fruit to make it seem as though the sun god was like moving through her. So in that case, he was able to take over everything. And why Dory and Brogy are probably less inclined to know about all of this and kind of look at Luffy as their sun god is because they were fighting on Little Garden for 100 years. They don't know that Loki is like pretending to be the sun god, even though they've been on Elbaf for a little bit. Elbaf is going to be like so huge that they, may not have been able to realize that. But there needs to be sort of this uphill battle, or at least that's what I want Elbaf to be, where like Luffy, who wouldn't want to prove that he is the sun god, will unwittingly have to do it in some way, because the Elbaf citizens are already going to think that Loki is the sun god, so they're not going to believe that Luffy is it. And if the winter solstice is going on and Luffy can't eat to become Gear 5, he may not even be able to show people that he is the sun god. So, but the fun thing about it is if Usopp is the one that's able to expose the lie. Because if we've got two liars, and Game recognizes Game, then that could be like Usopp's great moment of the arc. And I'll go into more of all of that in the next video I'm doing. I'm doing a huge Elbaf predictions video going into Norse mythology. And the goal is to get that out during this break. So when that comes out, guys, make sure to drop comments, anything. Put some sort of a comment, like that video. Want that to be over 100,000 views, like the Luffy lineage video, because it's going to be the longest theory video I've ever put out. That's for sure. So I wrote like 14 or 15 pages of stuff, so it's going to be like close to an hour long. Fable said, even if Luffy activates Gear 5, there's no guarantee people will recognize him as the sun god. True. I mean, they're basically, like, the thing about Elbaf is that since they all live for like 300 years, all any older giant needs to remember is what their grandfather told them about the sun god, because it would just take 3 generations to reach Joy Boy. And that's that. I mean, I would feel like the citizens of Elbaf would have a better understanding of the sun god and Joy Boy more so than any other island in the One Piece world, just based off of that age thing. Do I think that the rabbit god is related to the Lapon on Drum Island or Randolph on Whole Cake? No, but I do hope that we'll get an answer on whether or not Nola and Kashigami and the Snakes of Jaya were transplants from Elbaf. That's something that I want to get out of this arc. Let's see here. Chin said like a Charlos type fake sun god. Like an Orochi Wapol fake sun god. Fable said, I wish we got to see them eating the rabbit, because I'm curious to know how much each of the idiots ate. I know Luffy went ham. He went hair. Yeah. Cut to the next chapter, and we see someone going ham on Chopper. Roasted Tanaki. But yeah. Alright, guys. I think we're going to wrap things up here. Unless anybody's got anything anything else to talk about. Get your final thoughts in here. Appreciate everybody coming through for the technical first chapter of exploring Elbaf. Whether or not you think that it is Elbaf, it is. Elbaf is split up into many different worlds, and this is just the Danish side, representing the premier export of Denmark, Legos. So there will be more lands to cover, more things to discuss. Fable said if Akainu does make his move in this arc, I'd like him to bring Green Bull along. I'd love that too. I want Akainu to assemble a super group of Marines that are after the One Piece as well. And Green Bull needs to be his right-hand man. So we gotta have the evil Marines making a move. I also need to know what the hell is going on with Fujitora. You know, like what is his thing? How does he move now? Because he's got to be like under fire for freeing slaves and stuff at the Holy Land. Brandon King said, Elbaf runs on the same logic Vegapunk explained about the fruits. The cat wanted to be a lion, so it did. Kid wanted a Lego castle, so he got one. And if Usopp wants to go Nika, he can. Yeah. Willie Gallen, chapter 218. Anything that humans dream of in reality is possible in reality. So, we got it. block fruit. My guy, Eric D. Telford in the chat, right as we're about to wrap up. Looking like a fresh beard trim. I try to keep it tight. But yeah, we in Elbaf, baby. We in Elbaf. Phil said, yeah, we'll catch up with Fuji. He'll be in hot water at his job, like a cop sent to work evidence for making a mistake. Doubt they'll get rid of him. He's too strong. I'm just thinking of it now. I don't actually think that this would happen, but it would be fun if he was like in Impel Down or something for that, right? Because obviously we have to go to Impel Down for the Weevil stuff, and potentially Bartolomeo could have gotten captured and gets locked away, and then he can be one of the main characters of that breakout. Monster Wayne said, love this community, always fun theorizing here. Appreciate you, Monster Wayne. Christian Bryce, a lot of Brooks' power has to do with perceiving his soul. I hope this arc can help him, since Luffy and Elbaf itself will have to do a lot with perception. Not only that, wait for the video, there's a lot of things that tie into Brook and souls and even the underworld. Yeah. So, all right, guys. I'm gonna end things here. Look out for the video. I'm gonna try to get it out before we end up doing a theory for theory, if I can. If not, you know, we'll start next week with it, but just keep an eye out. And that'll be that. I don't know if I'll put a video out specifically for this because I want to work on the bigger hour-long video I'm doing. So. Yep. All right, guys. And Fable, it was good seeing you again, brother. I'll catch everybody later.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.